Welcome to BrewFix, where coffee meets craftsmanship. Espresso tastes intense, bold, concentrated, so it feels obvious to assume it contains more caffeine than other coffee drinks. But here's the reality. Espresso often contains less caffeine than a cup of filter coffee, even though it tastes much stronger. Today, we're breaking down why flavor intensity and caffeine content are not the same thing, what the science says about caffeine extraction, and why espresso's reputation is built more on perception than chemistry. Why strong taste gets confused with high caffeine. Humans naturally associate bitterness, thickness, and intensity with strength. Espresso delivers all three at once: concentrated flavor, heavy body, and sharp bitterness. This sensory overload creates the illusion of high caffeine. But caffeine itself is mostly tasteless. What you're tasting in espresso is concentration of flavor compounds, not caffeine levels. What caffeine actually is chemically. Caffeine is a water-soluble alkaloid that extracts relatively easily from coffee grounds. According to coffee chemistry, caffeine dissolves early and steadily during extraction. It does not require high pressure, extreme temperatures, or long contact times. This means caffeine extraction behaves very differently from flavor extraction. What caffeine actually is chemically. Caffeine is a water-soluble alkaloid that extracts relatively easily from coffee grounds. According to coffee chemistry, caffeine dissolves early and steadily during extraction. It does not require high pressure, extreme temperatures, or long contact times. This means caffeine extraction behaves very differently from flavor extraction. Concentration versus quantity. Espresso is concentrated, not abundant. Per milliliter, espresso contains more caffeine than drip coffee. But because the serving size is small, the total caffeine per cup is often lower. This distinction is critical. Espresso hits fast and intense, but filter coffee delivers more caffeine over time. Why espresso feels like it hits harder. Espresso is consumed quickly, often in 1 or 2 sips. This delivers caffeine rapidly, creating a noticeable physiological response. Filter coffee is consumed slowly, spreading caffeine intake over time. The speed of consumption changes perception, even when total caffeine is lower. Roast level and caffeine myths. Another common myth is that dark roasts contain more caffeine. In reality, caffeine content changes very little with roast level. Dark roasts taste stronger due to bitter compounds, but lighter roasts often retain slightly more caffeine by weight. Flavor intensity and caffeine content remain unrelated. Why milled drinks change the story. When espresso is used as a base for milk drinks, the perception of strength drops dramatically, even though caffeine content remains unchanged. This again highlights how flavor perception misleads people into guessing caffeine levels incorrectly. What actually determines caffeine intake? Caffeine intake depends on dose size, brew ratio, contact time, and total water volume, not pressure or bitterness. Once you understand this, caffeine becomes predictable instead of mysterious. Espresso tastes strong because it's concentrated, not because it's packed with caffeine. Once you separate flavor from chemistry, coffee becomes much easier to understand and control. At BrewFix, we break down espresso myths using science and real-world experience, so you can make smarter choices and better coffee. BrewFix, keeping your coffee machines running and your mornings caffeinated.